Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Right there. Alrighty, we're live, and as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more target logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. I did do this last stream and the stream before that as well. I told you guys if I had time to do it yesterday, I would do it yesterday, but actually I did not have time, guys. So I'm going to be working on that today. That's it. Let's go to my gameplay screen. Okay, how do you tip? I appreciate you joining the stream. And guys, if I can talk properly right now, that is because I'm not warmed up, because I just woke up like a while ago. That's it. Let's say something like, say, I'm live, exclamation. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Okay, listen to me, everyone. Look at this soul. Okay, guys, I feel like I'm in no motivated intros for some reason. I feel like the intros are kind of tedious. Okay, that said, current status, Pikachu moves. Look at the attacks. Okay, because I did create a project where yesterday I had my player. His name was Pikachu. He wasn't like an actual Pikachu type stuff because I did not make that mesh. That said, he was a character who could actually attack an actor, which is technically my NPC. And when my NPC received enough damage to actually be defeated, he disappeared from my Unreal Engine's, I think it's called editor. Okay, that's it. Pikachu moves, boss takes damage, input clean and deliberate. The new lesson, the visual impacts, the VFX. Okay, I won't be working on VFX for the time being. Let me say something like, say I won't be working on the VFX for a bit. Instead, I need some practice writing the let's say something like I need some practice writing the attack function. So can you give me, let's go with something like, can you give me a reference? Maybe I could practice with that, a reference code of just the attack function. Okay, let's see. Let me go. I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini in the other window because I do want to see the reference and run. That said, how do you expect? I appreciate you joining the stream. Oh wow, when did this happen? How do I get glasses on? Honestly, guys, this is not some kind of, this is not power glasses. These are just blue light glasses because I am staring at the screen almost the entire day. So I thought this would be pretty good protection for my eyes. That said, practice. You want practice by staging a scene instead of fighting the battle sign. If you want to master the sword, you must repeat the motion until your muscles bleed logic. I fear not the man who has practiced 1,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Guys, I've heard this quote. It's by Bruce Lee. That said, the Sensei Scare archive, the attack reference. So basically, this was the attack function that I had to work on last stream. Apparently, whatchamacallit, I could write it, but I need to work on some of these functions syntax because I don't know those names. So I will be getting this in the other window here just to look at it as a reference. And then maybe just decrease this a bit. Go ahead and scroll out web to the reference. There we go. So now, in my Pikachu's class, if I go to the C++ file, I do have an attack function that has the exact same logic without the G engine displays and all that thing. Although, I want to do something here. Let's see. Okay, where does the G engine actually go? I see. Okay, so basically the only thing that I need to work on is, firstly, I gotta go ahead and get my player's controller and also cast it. Then I check if my player's controller is set to true. I create a f hit says local. I create my f hit says local variable that represents my f hit results. Okay, and then I create a boolean variable called B hit, which is going to be equal to my player controller that points towards get hit result under cursor by channel. This function name was a bit hard to memorize. Okay, then I'm going to add a pair of parentheses. The first parameter that it requires is, let's say, uEngine types. From my uEngine types, I want to use the scope resolution operator to get the convert to trace type. These are the two functions that's hard to memorize. I might write them down somewhere. So it's get hit result under cursor by channel. So get hit result under cursor by channel. And convert to trace type. So those are the only two things that's a bit hard to actually learn. And then once I'm done with that, I add a nested if statement which checks if my boolean hit variable is true. If it is true, I go ahead and represent my a boss's class, my actor's class, with a pointer called target boss. Okay, then I set that equal to cast. I cast my a boss, added the pair of parentheses. I have a hit result dot get actor. This function, okay. And then if target boss, this is just for a check just to be safe. If my target boss, if it was my target boss, if my target was my target boss, then I use the receive hit. Okay, I think I can go ahead and remove this now. Okay, so let's see. Hi, Indian bro. Is it reporter? Guys, reporter is kind of crazy. Okay, that's it. Let's see. Let's go all the way up here. So firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and add a few changes to my attack function. For example, I'm gonna go with something like, let's go with something like a Pikachu. So my a Pikachu is going to be using a scope resolution operator to point towards, let's say, the attack function in it with a prof parentheses. Then I'm gonna go with the prof curly braces. And I'm gonna go ahead and set this to be a void function. Okay, now inside my class, firstly, I want to get my player controller. So I'm going to go with something like a player controller. Okay, my a player controller is going to be represented by a pointer called something like PC, which is going to be equal to cast. I'm going to go ahead and cast it with the pair of ankle braces. Inside my pair of ankle braces, I'm going to go ahead and add something like a player controller. Let's go with something like controller. Okay, where are you from? Honestly, I do like live abroad, but I can't get my exact country. That's it. Let's go with something like controller, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now once I'm done getting my players as controller, I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement to check if my player controller is true. If it is true, then I'm gonna do something. Firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and create a local variable which represents my f hit result. My local variable is gonna be called something like hit results. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. RESULT. There we go. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna create a boolean variable called something like hit, which is gonna be equal to, now this was the confusing part. Can I remember what was the function name? So my player controller points towards, let's say something like, let's use into lessons. Let's go with something like mouse cursor. Okay, maybe I go with lowercase mouse cursor. Okay, there's default mouse cursor, there's show mouse cursor. I think it was something like use mouse cursor. Okay, bro, stops. Okay, he's so dictative in explaining. Honestly, that does actually make sense. Kind of cool. Why you explain each line? Honestly, I explain it because like I feel if I can explain this stuff, I get like much better at understanding it myself. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete it. Now my player controller is going to be pointing towards. Okay, the function name was okay, get hit result under cursor by channel. Okay, let's go with something like get hit results. Get hit results. So there we go. By cursor. Let's go with by cursor under channel. I'm gonna go with something like into lessons because I had a lot of typos here. So get hit result under cursor by channel. There we go. These are the kind of function names that's a bit hard to memorize once, like when you're starting off new with learning this stuff, but eventually it does get easy. Guys, I cannot phrase right now. Okay, let's see. I think I know wrong English, can't understand accent. Guys, that I actually get that a lot. It's not on you guys, it's kind of on me. Okay, they're still kind of hot. Okay, now inside my get hit result under cursor by actors function, I'm going to require a few parameters. The first is going to be a trace type, so I'm going to go with something like uEngines. So from my uEngine types, I'm going to use the scope resolution operator and get my trace type. So I'm going to go ahead and actually convert to trace type. Let's go with convert to trace type. Okay, let's go with something like type. And then, adding name, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, what game are you going to make in the future? Actually, once this program for 200p series is over, I'm going to be making a game that consists of AI logic in it, which is going to be ending in about like 119-ish days. Like, fact check me, guys. I think this is day 134. What is 134 minus 250? Okay, whatever that is, I'm going to be done by the end of that. Genshin, guys, making Genshin is kind of crazy. I think like Genshin already like requires like 100 GB to download. I feel like making it would be real hard. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's ECC underscore visibility. Let's go with something like. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with this, the second parameter is going to be, let's see. Okay, so it's going to be my Boolean trace complex. I'm going to go ahead and set this to be false. And then lastly, my final parameter is going to be my f hit result, which in this case, it's going to be my hit result. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and end this entire thing with a semicolon. That's pretty much it. Okay, let's see. Okay, can you speak normal English rather than exaggerating? Guys, I feel like exaggerating is kind of crazy. Okay, but next up, I'm gonna go with something like an if statement. In my inner if statement or in my nested if statement, I'm gonna go ahead and add a parameter of my b hit if I was hit, if hit is set to true. Then from my bosses, let's go with something like a boss. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and represent my boss by a target boss's pointer. Let's go with something like target boss's pointer, which is going to be equal to, now this is supposed to be the more complicating part, excessive caps. Guys, excessive caps are kind of crazy. I don't know how people like actually read it like that. Okay. Bro, why do you speak like you're gay? Guys, I actually do get that a lot. Bro, your throat may get pain. Honestly, it used to, but whatchamacallit, I did get kind of used to it, so I feel like it's kind of normal at this point. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cast my target boss, so I'm gonna go with something like cast. Okay, please be real, don't fake your accent, guys. Please be real, it's kind of crazy. That's it, I'm gonna go with something like cast, and guys, for the record, this is like kind of my real. Okay, but bow your how? Okay, bow for your hard work, keep working. Honestly, I appreciate you. Santosh, did I pronounce your name? Okay, that's it. Let's see. So once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and cast something. I'm gonna go ahead and cast my a boss. Then I'm gonna go with something like a parentheses. Let's go with something like my hit results is local variable dot the get actor. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's say get my actor from my let's say boss's character. Okay, I should have character my boss's actor class. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end that with a semicolon. Next up, just to fact check. Hold up, guys. Let me actually mute myself real quick. Already mic testing, mic testing. I thought there were some background noises. That's it. Let's go with something like an if statement. I'm gonna check something. I'm gonna go ahead and check if my target boss was set to true. Now, this part is just to be sure, so I'm just gonna be sure. I mean, just to be safe, I'm gonna go ahead and add a target boss here. Okay, can you run the prototype when it was built till now? Honestly, yeah, once I'm done with this, I can actually run and show you guys what I was up to. Okay, I'm also a coder, Java, backend developer. I see, that actually sounds really cool. I didn't want to start Java. Maybe I might start after the series. That said, I'm gonna go with something like if target boss, then I'm gonna do something. Let's say I'm gonna go ahead and point my target boss using an arrow mark operator towards the function that I created in my boss's header files. It's called the receive hit function that requires a damages parameter. So I'm gonna go with something like receive hits, which requires a parameter of my damage. Okay, I want my let's say Pikachu's class to have, let's say, 30 damage. And hold up, guys, let me go ahead and mute myself real quick. Alright, perfect, guys. I keep thinking there's like background noises. Okay, never mind. Hold up, guys. Let me beat myself one last time. Already mic testing, mic testing. Alright, perfect. Okay, now let's see. So I have a target boss that I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Guys, I think that's pretty much it. And just ignore me whenever I like, mute my stream up. Okay, let's go ahead and control S to save the code. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let's say open my Unreal Engine. In my Unreal Engine, one request, please speak a bit slow, difficult to understand. Actually, many of you guys did say that I might actually try speaking a bit slower now. Okay, so if I were to go ahead and go to my contents class, double click my map, and let's say open my map. In my map, I don't see any of my classes here, so I'm gonna go ahead and close my Unreal Engine and run it through my Visual Studio. Okay, can you run the game till what is done till now? Honestly, I can actually run it because I'm actually done. Okay, now let's wait for it to actually run. The reason I actually closed my Visual Studio, actually closed my Unreal Engine and opened it through Visual Studio is because my classes were missing. This is a way to actually get your classes back. Okay, that's it. Let's wait for it to open. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to something like my content. All of a sudden, I can see all my classes back here. I'm going to go to content and double click my map. Inside my map, I've got, let's say, a camera for my player. Guys, this is like my Pikachu here. I need to actually work on making a better Pikachu. And this is my actor class. So, for my actor class, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and let's say click my... Let's go with something like boss, which is technically my actor. I'm going to go ahead and just extend this a little. Hold up, guys. Let's go ahead and just extend this. I'm going to go under my collision box. Let me just increase my collision box real quick. Okay, my static mesh is not going to be a child of my collision box. Hold up, guys. Let me just kind of arrange this because I created a collision box, but I got to go ahead and have it to be... guys, I cannot trace this part. I need to like completely surround my let's say boss's mesh with my collision box here. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and let's say click add. I'm gonna go ahead and add a static mesh. Let's go ahead and add a static mesh real quick. Okay, there we go. Let me go all the way down here. I'm gonna go with something like my boss. Then let's add my boss's mesh. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click this. Let's go all the way back. Okay, why is this an instance? Okay, what if I change the location? Okay, how do I surround this? Okay, I just want to select my collision box, but it's a child. My static mesh is being a child of it. I mean, that's fine, I guess. I can just go ahead and run the code. If I were to go ahead and run the code, let me actually close it real quick. Let me just decrease the size of my... There we go. Okay, now let's go ahead and run the code. So I can go ahead and move around, and every time I actually attack my my target, it says up here shield took damage because my target does have a shield logic and I do 30 damage. My shield's HP is 0 now. Then my actual health take damage, and if I just spam attack here, once my NPC's HP reaches 0, he kind of gets destroyed from my actual project here, and it says boss defeated, rejoice. Okay, now I just need to like work on a few basic syntax. Let me try a few other ways. Like, what if I go behind him, like right here, and can I like attack him from here? Okay, so okay, that's pretty good. It's like if I hit him, that's when he actually takes damage, else he does not take damage. Okay, perfect. Now let's see what's the next thing that I might want to add. Maybe I want to go ahead and try working on this logic again, and then later on I will be working on adding much more details, because for the time being I did not like really have a map or really have multiple mesh and all that, because I'm just working on the basic logic. When it is like the time for making my actual game, by the end, I think like in about 120 days or so, I will be like writing a pseudocode and all that thing too. Okay, that's it. I want to go ahead and try writing this part again. Okay, how doing? It's RC. I appreciate joining the stream. Okay, guys, let me know if the speed is fine, like, because I'm usually used to talking a bit faster, but many of you guys did say me to go ahead and talk a bit slower, so I should try talking a bit slower. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and create another white function now. This is going to be, let's say, from my a Pikachu's class. Let's go with something like Pikachu. Okay, with a scope resolution operator that goes ahead and, let's say, points towards my attack function. Let's go with something like attack, with a pair of parentheses and then a pair of curly braces. Now my attack function is, let's say, gonna go ahead and have let's say if you maybe I might want to get my player controller's this pointer here. And guys, the reason I am like stuttering a lot while talking is because it is kind of freezing out here. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go with something like a player controller. Okay, let's go with a player controller. Okay, now my player controller is going to be represented by a pointer called something like PC. That is going to be equal to, let's say, something like cast. The reason we cast is to actually check if I am talking or if I actually did get my actual player controller, which is technically my mouse in this case, that I'm working on. It's not like some other player controller. I think that that's what it means. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go with something like cast. I want to cast my a player controller. Okay, with a pair of parentheses, which requires a parameter of my controller. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and, hold up guys, let me go ahead and get myself up here real quick. Already mic testing, guys. I thought that there was some kind of background noise again. Okay, character animation and rigging. I did want to try that. Usually on like every Tuesday I have a stream which is besides programming or something. Like Tuesday is going to be like, I think in 2 days from now. So I might, if I did have time, then I would like add a community poll asking you guys what should I work on this Tuesday. Or I'm just going to be working with Blender because I do need to work on character animation. That makes the stuff much better. Okay, that's next up. I'm going to go ahead and create something like a F hit result. So I'm going to go with something like a F hit result. What up guys, let's go with F hit results. Okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like hit results. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement that checks if it is my player controller, or if my player controller is true, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say, okay, what is it that I want to do? I do want to get my cursor's action by channel, so I'm going to go ahead and create a boolean variable called something like hit. I want to create a hit variable to check if I did get hit. I'm going to go ahead and set that equal to, pretty sure it was something like get, and then I'm going to use into lessons. I think it was something like get mouse cursor by channel. Okay, was this the function? Get mouse cursor by channel. I don't think this was actually the correct function. Hold up, guys, let me go out of here. Let me know if I'm talking like slow enough. Okay, let's see. So it's get hit result under cursor by channel. This is such a hard name to memorize. Get hit result. So get hit result under cursor by channel. Let's go with something like by channel. Okay, this is a really long name. Let's go with something like into lessons. Okay, so get hit result. Let's go with get hit result. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like under cursor. Let's go with cursor. Get hit result under cursor by channel. So get hit result under cursor by channel. Oh, I see where I messed up here. So technically what I need to do is I gotta go ahead and point my PC towards this, point my player controller towards this. So I go with get hit result under cursor by channels, this function, which requires a parameter from my, let's say, U engine type, from my Unreal's engine types. Let's go with something like engine types. I'm going to use this scope resolution operator to, let's say, get access to my convert to trace. Okay, was it convert to trace type? There we go. Okay, perfect, which requires a parameter of a ECC underscore visibility. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a comma. My second parameter is going to be, let's see, a trace complex, which in this case is going to be set to false. And my third parameter is going to be my F hit result, which in this case, it is my hit result. Now, just to be sure that I got this, I'm going to remove that and go with something like a Boolean variable. Check, this is going to be a hits as a Boolean variable that is going to be equal to my player controller pointing towards, guys, get hit. Okay, so this is something like get hit result under cursor by channels function. There we go, guys. I think I actually got a hold of this function name. Then I'm going to go with something like my Unreal's engine, or from my Unreal's engine types, I want to go ahead and get access to, let's go with something like get trace type. Okay, was it something like convert to trace type? So I'm going to go with something like convert to trace type. Okay, let's go with something like convert to trace type with a pair of parentheses that requires a parameter of ECC underscore visibility. Okay, then I'm going to go with something like comma. My trace complex is going to be set to false, and my F hit result is going to be my hit results. Okay, I think I got this. Okay, next up, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add a if statement here, or a nested if statement to check, let's say something like if my B hit, if my Boolean hit variable is set to true, if I did get hit, then I'm going to do something. From my A boss's actor class, I'm gonna go ahead and represent that using, let's say, a pointer called, I don't know, maybe, let's see, what could a pointer be called? I might go with target boss. Let's go with target boss. Okay, which is going to be equal to, I'm gonna go with cast a pair of ankle braces, and then I want to go ahead and add a parameter of my A boss. I want to cast my A boss with a pair of parentheses. I'm gonna go with something like my target boss dot the actually I think it's hit result. Was it hit result, or am I just exaggerating there? Okay, so it's hit results. I'm gonna go with something like hit result dot the get actor this function. I'm gonna go ahead and get my actor here with a pair of parentheses. Then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, and I think that's like pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm gonna go ahead and add another if statement here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another if statement, but here's the thing. Do they all come in like one if statement? So, okay, I think I gotta go with another nested if statement, so I'm gonna go with another if statement here, with a pair of parentheses, that checks something. I'm gonna go ahead and check if my target boss is set to true, that I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces, and then let's say I'm gonna go ahead and point my target boss, this is my actual boss, towards the receive hits function. Let's go with something like receive hit with a pair of parentheses that requires a parameter of my hit, that is going to be something like 30, ending with a semicolon. By hit I meant damage actually. Then I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine here. Now inside my Unreal Engine, I'm gonna go ahead and live compile. Let's go with something like live compile, and this should be perfect. Let's go ahead and get my window here while it's live compiling my emotes. Okay, did it say it's done? Okay, I think it meant it was done live compiling. I'm gonna go ahead and get back to my program. Okay, let's go ahead and move a bit. I can go ahead and hit, and my boss does take damage. He takes damage every time I hit him. He loses 30 HP. And boom, once my boss has 0 HP left, he's defeated. Okay, now that I'm done with adding this basic kind of logic, I do want to work with a bit more complex things, so I think I got a pretty good grasp of my get hit result from cursor by channels. Get hit result on your cursor by channel. I mean, it's almost the same. And then convert to trace type. Those were the only two function names to memorize. Okay, I mean, I guess I can go ahead and get Gemini here to get a mini project now, because I think I got this. But then later on, once I am like completely good with this, maybe next stream or the stream after that, I will be working on like the AI logic. And guys, when I say the stream after that, I meant the programming stream after that, because Tuesdays I don't like program, I like work on different things. That's it, I'm gonna say something like insane. I think that I got a pretty good grasp of the attack method. Okay, now, can you give me a mini project to build on my own that requires the contents that I've learned so far, question mark? Okay, let's see. Even though I do have limited meshes, guys. That's it, listen to me. You think you have a grasp? Don't confuse understanding with mastery until your fingers can type that logic while you're asleep. Okay, you're still a student in my dojo, that actually does make sense. The one who conquers enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life, said by Muhammad Ali. Okay, that's sad. But I see that glint in your eyes. You want to build, you want to prove your stream, okay, blah, blah, blah. Project, the elemental shrines. This name does sound kind of cool. Guys, I want to make so many meshes. I'm so bad at modeling, though. It would make my games look 100 times better if I did. Okay, you're good to build. You're going to build a system where the player must click on the 3 different types of target. Must click on 3 different types of target. I think this should be easy for me as well. Okay, to activate them. This is not just about damage, it's about conditional logic, the requirements, the actor class, a shrine. Create a new actor called a shrine, give it a box component, okay, the basic stuff for collision, give it an enum or an integer called shrine type. Excuse me guys, write a function called activate shrine that prints a unique message to the screen based on its type. Fire shrine activated, ice shrine activated, if the player logic, a Pikachu, the player logic, a Pikachu, modify your attack function, or create a new interact function, you must use the cursor trace we learned, okay, so it's like, it was get mouse cursor under, what was it? It was get hit result under cursor by channel, there we go, that's a hard function name to memorize. Okay, that said, I'm gonna go ahead and read the twist. So in the twist, if the player clicks the same shrine twice, it should print already active and nothing else. You will need a boolean called a shrine to track, okay? So it says discipline. Why this project? Most amateurs can make health bar go down, but a real developer can create interaction systems. This project forces you to use everything: constructors, input binding, casting, member variables. Sensei's challenge the stream hook. If you can get all the shrines to 20 minutes in the next 20 minutes. Okay guys, I guess let's get to work. So I don't want to like completely waste this project. So I'm gonna go to Unreal Engine, gonna go to content drawer, gonna go ahead and save everything. Okay, let's hit control to save the code. Then I'm gonna go to something like my home. Okay, in home, I'm going to create a new project. It's going to be a blank project. I'm going to go ahead and create a class. Now, while my class is creating, I'm going to exit my Unreal Engine because my Visual Studio, because I won't really need that. And then let's try to make a pseudocode real quick in my mind. So technically, for a shrine, I might need 3 things. I would need 3 meshes. That's the first thing. The second thing that I might need is my player. So I'm assuming I might need 3 actors, but an actor for a button. Would that make sense? Okay, should I create a separate action for a button, or should I create 3 separate types? For example, if I click my click my L button, my first shrine is activated. If I click something like K, my second button is pressed. If I click something like J, my third button is pressed. If that makes any sense. It's either that or either I make 3 separate actor classes. For practice, making 3 separate actor classes would be pretty good, honestly. Okay, how doing, Loki? How doing, Said? Appreciate you joining the stream. Let's get my Unreal Engine here. It is kind of loading, but it's loading. I might eat some oats real quick. There we go. Let's go ahead and get this here. And this is like a brand new project up here because this is like a new shrine logic type stuff. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's extend this. Then I'm gonna go to files, I'm gonna go to new level, and then let's create a basic project. Now, firstly, before I create anything, I wanna go ahead. How doing Bibel? Is that Biblin? Is that how I pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Before I do anything here, firstly, a very important thing, guys. I mean, this depends on preference, but I do like to decrease the size of my floor because I feel like my floor is usually really big. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and get down real quick and go to choose and create a new class. I'm gonna be needing a character class. That's like I have the question, so I'm gonna go ahead and call this something like what character should I call? Guys, give me a character name. Should I go ahead and name him something like Sky? I could name, I mean, this is gonna be confused with Sky. Let me pick some name from the comment section. Should I go with like RC? Let's see, so Maya experiment. Okay, I might go with something like Tib because I don't have a better name to go with. Let's go with something like Tib. Then I'm gonna go ahead and create a class. Oh, I could have gone with Nick. That sounds much better. I mean, it's not like name criticism, guys. It's just I just prefer like writing names that's easier to type. Okay, that's it. While it's adding to code, I'm let's say gonna go ahead and open my Visual Studio. Okay, and guys, is it just me or is it actually kind of lagging? Okay, let's go ahead and reload all. Okay, once it's done reloading, I'm gonna go ahead and close that. It's compiling changes to live coding as well. I'm gonna go all the way up here. There, now if I open my contents drawer, let's say I see my C++ classes. Okay, perfect. Now, once I'm done with that, the first thing that I want to add is like really important. I want to go ahead and add enhanced input movement to my actual player. To do that, let's say I'm going to go ahead and create a few classes. I'm going to go ahead and create a class for, let's say, my U camera component. Okay, ending with a semicolon. And guys, these are like the basic classes that don't have much, that doesn't have, like, these are empty classes just for me to declare these classes and tell, like, when my compiler actually runs, it goes through my header files first. But the header file is usually just for declaration, not like definition. So I just want my compiler to know that these classes exist. It doesn't need to know what's inside of it. It will know that once it starts compiling my C++ file, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to go with something like a spring arm component. Okay, then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And then I'm going to create another class called something like... okay, what else would I need? I might need something like input action. So I'm going to go with something like input action, ending with a semicolon. Then a U, input mapping context. Let's go with something like input mapping context. Go with mapping context. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and end that with a semicolon as well. My fourth class could be something like... maybe I might need just 4 classes. The third is going to be a structure for my F input action value. And guys, if you guys do want a stream where I like explain them, or if you guys think I'm explaining this really quick, for my enhanced inputs, I had like a bunch of streams where I mastered this. You guys could like check those streams out. I do want to create tutorial videos as well for this stuff. That's it. Now once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go all the way down here under my protected data members. I'm gonna create a few properties. The first property is gonna be for my camera boom, which is my spring arm component. And you guys would know what a camera boom is if you guys like work with film industries or type stuff. It's basically a massive selfie stick where my camera is stuck above. Okay, then I'm gonna go with something like a new property where I want my camera boom or my spring arm component to be visible anywhere. I'm gonna go with something like visible anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read this, not edit it. And lastly, I want my category, let's go with something like category to be equal to something like camera. Okay, and then let's go ahead and create a use spring arm component. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and represent my spring arm component using a pointer called something like camera boom. Okay, perfect. Then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna create another U property. Okay, which now is going to be visible anywhere. I'm gonna go with something like visible anywhere. I want my property to be something like blueprint read only. Okay, my blueprint is only going to be able to read this, not edit it. And then I'm going to create a category, which is going to be equal to camera again. And guys, I forgot to add a comment here. Comments are like not necessary, but they're like really important as well. This is going to be for my follow camera. Okay, let's go with something like camera. This is going to be my actual camera component. So I'm going to go with something like U camera component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like follow camera. Okay, then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with those, I'm going to add another comment here that says something like move action, because I am going to be adding move action and look action, where a player can be able to move using key controls. He can be able to look using my mouse, or like turn around using my mouse, if that makes any sense. But for that, again, I would need a U property, okay, which requires, let's say, 3 parameters. The first parameter is going to be edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit my move action anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read it, not edit it, because I won't be using my blueprint to make changes or stuff. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go with something like category, category, which is going to be equal to something like inputs. And category is just for like organization. I want to organize my stuff inside a category of inputs. Then I'm going to use my U input actions, this class that I created up there or declared up there. I'm going to represent it by a pointer called something like move action, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and add another comment called something like look action, because I want to go ahead and turn it on as well. I'm going to add a U property, okay, with a pair of parentheses. Okay, input-action. Did I spell something wrong here? U input action, action. Did I by any chance spell input action wrong? Now mind, guys, I spelled it correct. Okay, then I'm gonna go with something like edit anywhere. Okay, I want my look action to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read it, not really edit it. Then lastly, I'm gonna go with something like my category and set that equal to input. It's going to be categorized under my input section. Now here's the thing, I could just end it here if I wanted to, but the only time I want my actual player to turn around is when I move my mouse, of course, but when I'm clicking my right mouse button and I turn around. If I don't click my right mouse button, I don't really want to turn around. Okay, so before I really do that, I'm going to go with something like a U input action. Let's go with something like, U input action, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like look action, ending with a semicolon. Then I'm going to go ahead and add something like right mouse button action, okay, where I will be needing a U property again. And guys, if you guys don't really understand about these U properties, then make sure you guys check out my previous streams where I went over this part. The reason I am like kind of speed running this is because I want to work with the newer content. I'm just writing this for like a review, where I want my RMB action to be edit anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read it. And my category is going to be equal to something like inputs. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to create another U input action, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like RMB action. Let's go with ACTION. How do I keep messing this up? ACTION. And then I end this with a semicolon. And now that's right about it. That's it. Now once I'm done with my RMB action as well, I'm going to scroll all the way down here and go with something like Boolean checks. I'm going to add a few Boolean checks. For example, my first Boolean check could be something like a Boolean variable of is RMB pressed. Is my RMB pressed? I'm initially going to set that to false because I don't want it to be pressed initially when I run my program. Next up, once I'm done with that, I'm going to add another comment that says something like Boolean function checks. Okay, I don't know. I don't like a better name for this. So I'm going to go with something like a white function called something like RMB. Let's go with something like RMB underscore pressed with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. And another white function called something like RMB underscore released with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Now, the reason I added these two functions here is because when my RMB underscore price function is being, let's say, executed, or when this function is in charge, when I click my right mouse button, that's when I'm going to convert this variable to be true and be able to turn around. Else, it's going to be released. This is going to be set to false again, and I will not be able to turn around. If that made any sense, guys. I'm kind of starving after saying all that. Okay, so first I just want my tip to be able to move. So I'm going to go to my C++ file now. In my C++ file, let's say I'm going to go ahead and include something. I want to include something from my camera. Let's say I want to include my camera components. CMERACOMPONENT.h, which is my camera components as header files. And then let's go ahead and include something from my game framework. Let's say I want to go with something like game framework. Let's say I want to go ahead and include my spring arm component. Let's go with something like spring arm component .h, which is my spring arm components as header files. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm going to go ahead and include something from, I don't know, maybe, hey, since I am going to be using enhanced inputs, I'm going to go ahead and include enhanced, ENHANCED, input component .h, which is my enhanced input components as header files. And I will also be including my enhanced input component, or enhanced input subsystems, honestly. I mean, here's the thing. There are like two ways to actually do this. Either I include everything right now, where I can include it like when I really need them. Honestly, I might do that. I'm just going to include stuff when I need them. Okay, so firstly, I will be needing my camera component and spring arm component because I do want to display them on my window, if that makes any sense. For example, I'm going to go ahead and set my camera booms as pointer, which I created in my header files, to be equal to the create default sub object. Let's go with default sub object with a pair of ankle braces, which is going to be requiring a parameter of my spring arm component. Let's go with something like spring arm component. Okay, with a pair of parentheses that requires a, let's say, text. What do I want to go ahead and call my camera boom inside of my Unreal Engine? I want to go ahead and call it camera boom. Let's go with something like camera boom. Okay, perfect. Camera boom. Let's go with something like camera boom. Then I end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna fix my typo. Excuse me, guys. There we go. Okay, once I'm done with that as well, I'm gonna go ahead and, let's say, point my camera boom towards, I don't know, maybe set up attachment. I want to set up a attachment. And these are the things that you guys will be familiar with if like you guys worked with blueprints or like real coding in like Visual Studio using Unreal Engine, or in Unreal Engine using Visual Studio. We would need a root component. Basically, what the root component is like with the root component, I can actually see my player move, turn, rotate, or being scaled. Without it, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. And maybe fix my typo, set up attachment. There we go. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm gonna go ahead and point my camera boom, let's say, towards something like okay, what do I want to point it towards next up? I might go with a target arm length, basically TRGT arm length. Okay, basically what the target arm length is, my camera boom is basically a selfie stick. I want it to be away from my player when I extend it, not like stuck towards my player, if that makes any sense. Okay, it says disconnected. My OBS Studio is reconnecting. Okay, successfully reconnected. Alright, perfect. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna set my target arm length to be equal to, I'm gonna go with something like 200 points F, ending with a semicolon, which is basically 200 centimeters away from my player. That said, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go with something like my camera boom. I'm gonna go ahead and point it towards, I don't know, maybe I might go with something like a boolean check of use pawn control rotation. I'm gonna go with something like use pawn control rotation, which is gonna be equal to true, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and, let's say, create another default sub object for my follow camera, which is technically my camera component. And in case you guys don't know what the create default sub object does, is it like creates a object inside of my compiler here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and set my follow camera to be equal to something like create default, let's say something like sub object. with a pair of ankle braces, where I'm going to be requiring, let's say I'm going to be requiring my U camera component in my pair of ankle braces. So I'm going to go with something like U camera components. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to add a pair of parentheses and go with something like a text. My texture is going to be something like follow camera. Okay, because I watch my camera, my follow camera to be, let's say, called follow camera inside of my Unreal Engine. Guys, I feel like I'm kind of awful at explaining that. Let's say maybe I go ahead and eat some more oats. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and point my follow camera towards a setup attachment. Let's go with something like a setup attachment with a pair of parentheses that requires a parameter of my camera boom, because I want my follow camera to be stuck to my camera boom. So like my actual camera component is going to be stuck to my spring arm component, if that makes any sense. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go with another, let's say, pointer. So I'm going to go with something like follow camera that points towards my use point control rotation. Okay, let's go with something like use point control rotation. And guys, this is like a reason that I like to like speed run this part and like not usually explain much about this, because this is kind of long and tedious. Okay, now once I'm done with that, I think that's pretty much it. In my begin play, this is where I'm gonna go ahead and include, let's go with something like enhance, oops, I'm gonna go with the prop double quotes. Let's go with something like enhance, ENHANCED, enhance input subsystems. I'm gonna go with something like subsystems. Hold up guys, let me actually check this up real quick. There we go. Okay, I thought there was some background noises. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go with something like enhance input subsystems.h, which is basically my enhance input subsystems and header files that I will be using now inside a begin play. So once I actually run my program, once my program has begun, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and create, let's say, a player controller, because I will be needing access of my player controller here. That is going to be represented by PC's local variable, which is going to be equal to, I'm going to go ahead and add something like cast. I'm going to cast my player controller with a pair of ankle braces. I'm going to go with something like a player controller. Let's go with something like controller. Okay, which requires a parameter of controller. Okay, and then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and let's say end this with a semicolon and add a if statement. Now, inside my if statement, let's say I'm going to do something. I'm going to go ahead and check if my controller, if my player controller is not equal to null PDR, if and only if my player controller is not a null pointer, then I'm going to do something. I'm firstly going to, let's say, go ahead and, let's see. I'm going to point my player controller towards... let's say something like U enhance. So hold up, let me actually mute myself up here real quick. Let me go to my OBS. There we go. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, let me go back to my gameplay screen. Guys, if you guys can hear like background noise, just ignore them. That's it. Let's go all the way up here. Let's go all the way up here as well. There we go. Now my player controller is going to be pointing towards. I'm going to go with something like, I don't know, let's see. Okay, I'm going to be adding a U enhance, ENHANCED. I'm going to add a U enhance input. Local player subsystem. So my U enhance input local player subsystem. Did I spell something wrong? ENHANCED input local player subsystem. Okay, so it says a player controller has no member called U enhance input local player subsystem. Okay, so instead, should I just add something like an if statement here? Let's go with something like if, a pair of parentheses, there we go. So if my U enhance input local player subsystem, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like subsystem, SYSTEM, okay, is equal to, I'm going to go ahead and use the get local player. Or instead of get local player, I'm going to go with something like U local player. Let's go with U local player with a scope resolution operator of get subsystem. Okay, then I'm going to go with the pair of parentheses, or instead of pair of parentheses, I'm going to go with the pair of ankle braces and fill in my U enhance input. Let's go with something like input local player subsystem. There we go. Okay, where I'm going to go with something like a pair of parentheses here. and add a parameter of my, let's say, control, actually of my player controller, pointing towards my get local player. Hold up, guys. Let me actually mute myself again real quick. Alrighty, mic testing. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like get local player. Okay, now once I'm done with this, that's actually right about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, is there anything else that I would need? Okay, instead of ending with a semicolon, I just remembered I gotta go ahead and add a pair of parentheses where my subsystem is gonna go ahead and point towards a add mapping context. And if you guys don't know what the add mapping context is, in case you guys were here like from the very beginning, you guys remember that I included a input mapping context where I did not really create a U action or a U input action or like a pointer for my input mapping context. Let me do that real quick. So I'm gonna go down here, add a comment that says something like default mapping, DFAULT mapping. There I'm gonna create a U property with a pair of parentheses. Okay, there I want my default mapping. I want to be able to edit it anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only. Okay, and lastly, I want my category, let's go with something like my category, to be equal to something like input. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and create something like a U input mapping context. Let's go with something like mapping context. There we go, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like default mapping. Okay, let's go with something like mapping, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and point my subsystem towards a mapping context where my mapping context is going to be my default mapping, which I just created. Okay, and my priority is going to be 0, ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's about it. Hi, KV Kulks, I appreciate you joining the stream. It has been a while since I've seen you. Where you been? Okay, that said, get local player. Okay, I'm assuming I'm missing a pair of parentheses. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and add a pair of parentheses here. Okay, and that's pretty much it for my begin play. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and let's add a comment that says something like functions. I want to create a few functions. Let's go with RMB function. This is going to be my right mouse button function. There, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say maybe I'm gonna go ahead and define the function I declared inside of my header file. Hello, I wasn't here since you were learning C++. I see. Honestly, I will be starting to implement my Python code inside C++ as well now, because I feel like I got a pretty good grasp. All I wanted to know is how to like move my player around, turn it around, and like add a attack logic with collision and all that stuff. Once I actually know that, I gotta work on my AI logic because I feel that's gonna take a while. That's enough for my RMB function. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say maybe go with something like a void function. So I'm gonna go with something like a void function, okay, which is gonna be from my tips class that let's say uses scope resolution operator to point towards the move function. My move function now, I did not create those, so let's go ahead and create them. I'm gonna add a bunch of comments that say something like functions. These are gonna be the general functions. Where for my move function, I'm going to go with something like void move. Let's go with something like void move with the pair of parentheses that requires a constant parameter of my f input action value. Let's go with f input action value. Okay, let's go with something like value, which requires the memory address of a value parameter, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go with another void function called something like look. Now, my look function does require a constant parameter of a f input action value. Again, let's go with action value. Okay, which requires a memory address of value. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and end the code with a semicolon as well. Let's say control S to save the code. In my C++ file, my move function does require a constant parameter of my f input action value. Let's go with something like action value that requires the memory address of a values parameter. And then I'm going to go with the pair of curly braces. Now, inside my pair of curly braces, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and maybe add a comment that says something like scale value, because the way I'm going to be making my player move is using the function called add movement input, which requires two parameters, a scale value and a world direction. So since I am using enhanced input, I can't just use my get actor forward vector or get actor right vector function. Instead, I gotta create them manually myself. So for my scale value, I'm gonna go ahead and go with something like a f vector. Now my f vector is going to be three-dimensional, but I only want to have access of, let's say, my x-axis and y-axis. So I'm going to go with f vector 2D. Now my f vector is two-dimensional, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like movement vector. There we go, which is now going to be equal to, let's say my values parameter dot the get function dot the get. Not the get function, I think it's called template. I keep forgetting to ask Gemini what this is called. It is called template. There we go. There, I'm going to go ahead and require parameter of my f vector 2D, two-dimensional, with a parentheses to invoke my template, ending with a semicolon. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add an if statement. In my if statement, I'm going to check if my controller is not equal to null PDR, while my controller is not null. I'm going to go ahead and do something. Excuse me guys, I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of curly braces to let's see, to create a constant f rotator. Let's go with f rotator. Basically what the f rotator here does is it changes the place my player looks depending on where my camera is facing. So for example, back when we used to use legacy inputs, I'm assuming that even if I looked upwards and I click W, I would go upwards. But this time, even though I'm looking upwards, my player is actually, wait, I said that the opposite way, my bad guys. If I were to look upwards and hit W, I would go forward. But this time, if I look up, because my camera is facing upwards, I'm gonna hit W, I'm gonna fly upwards. But here's the thing, I won't be really flying upwards because I am working with two-dimensional vector, and going up or down is technically considered my z-axis, where I would have to use a 3D vector. And that was just right about it, guys. I feel like I want to eat some fruits because that was a lot. What up, guys? I'm going to eat some pear. Okay, so my constant f rotator is going to be represented by a pointer called something like rotation that is going to be equal to my controller, which points towards the get control rotation. I'm going to go with get control rotation. Okay, and then let's go ahead and invoke the function, ending it with a semicolon. Now, here's the thing. Did I go ahead and spell it wrong? C-O-N-T-R-O-L-L-E-R. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it. Okay. Okay, so since it's not my controller, I might go ahead and let's say add something like a player controller. I'm gonna go with something like player controller because that makes more sense. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and represent it by PCs as variable, which is gonna be equal to cast. I'm gonna cast to check if this is actually the player controller that I'm looking for. I'm gonna go with something like player controller. Okay, with a pair of parentheses that requires a parameter of my controller. Okay, perfect. And then instead of going with controller, I'm going to go with player controller that points towards get control rotation. Here's the thing, I cannot really use it. No suitable conversion function for f rotator, aka UE math p rotation double. Okay, I guess I'm going to go with a pair of curly braces. Okay, let's just go with controller here. Now, what did it have to be? So it says controller currently possesses this actor. So my controller is currently possessing this actor. Okay, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is correct, right? Okay, so controller points towards the get control rotation. Let me eat something maybe to jog my memory. Howdy, KV Cox, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, so rotation is going to be equal to my controller dot the get control rotation, my controller which points towards the get control rotation. Yeah, I'm positive there's nothing else that I could do this. So get the rotation controller view stuff. Okay, so it should be my player controller, right? I'm positive. Okay, let's go with, did I spell controller wrong? Am I doing something wrong here? Did I perhaps not include something? F rotator. Maybe I might try including. Let's go with something like include. Let's go with something like include. I want to go ahead and include my inputs. Let's go with something like input action values as header file. Now this should actually make it work. I'm gonna go all the way down here. And what do we know? It actually does work. Let's go with something like controller that points towards get control rotation. Alright, perfect guys. That was, I just missed an include folder controller. C-O-N. I spelled it wrong, didn't I? Let's copy that. Let's paste it here. C-O-N. Okay, instead I'm gonna go with Control Shift Z. Okay, I cannot do that, so I'm gonna go with something like a player controller. Okay, which is gonna be, let's say, represented by pointer called PC, which I am gonna be casting inside the prof ankle brace. I'm gonna go ahead and add a player controller. Okay, outside the prof parentheses, I'm gonna go ahead and give it my controller. Now, instead of controller here, I'm gonna go ahead and change that to PC. My player controller points towards get player controller. Why is this still wrong? So I have a scale value, I have a if statement that checks for my player controller, then I have a constant f rotator. I went ahead and included my input action values as header file, so I should have access of this, but for some reason my controller points towards get controller. I'm still like positive that my controller is going to be pointing towards my get control rotation. Controller points towards get control rotation. This is correct. I think it was just my editor messing with me. That's it, howdy KV Cucks, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it, I'm gonna go with another constant F rotator. All of a sudden it worked, guys. It's just my editor. That actually confuses me so much. Never mind, it's not my editor. Controller currently possessing this actor. So my controller is currently possessing this actor. No suitable conversion function F rotator. So no suitable conversion function. Controller get control rotation. I mean, I'm positive this is supposed to be correct, right? Can I go ahead and eat something real quick? Okay, let's see. So, this is my move function, which requires a vector. I did that part correct. That controller. C-O-N-T-R-O-L-L-E-R. Controller get control rotation. This is correct. I'm 100% positive. Although it doesn't work because that means something is wrong. So I cannot really be 100%. Let's say I want to go ahead and try including. I'm going to go with something like enhanced. I mean, I wouldn't need this yet. I'm just including it to just be safe. Let's go with enhanced input components as header files. I would not be needing this for this section, but camera component included. Okay, framework included, enhanced input component. Everything important has been included. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like F rotator, R-O-T-A-T-O-R, which is gonna be represented by, maybe my F rotation is not gonna be a pointer. There we go. That's the basic mistakes that I keep making. So it's not gonna be represented by a pointer. Now for my second F rotator, I'm gonna go with something like let's go with yaw rotations, this function, which requires three parameters. 0, my rotation local variable dot the yaw. The third parameter is going to be 0, and then end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, let's say I'm going to go ahead and add an if statement here. My if statement is going to go ahead and let's say something. I'm going to go ahead and add my world direction now. Okay, because for my add input movement function, I need like 2 parameters, scale value and a world direction. For my world direction, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create, I don't know, maybe let's see, for my world direction, I want to go ahead and create a f vector. Okay, this is going to be a 3-dimensional vector, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like forward direction. Okay, let's go with forward direction, which is going to be equal to the f rotation, R-O-T-A-T-I-O-N, the f rotation matrix's function that requires a parameter of my yaw rotation dot the get unit axis. Okay, which requires a parameter of an e-axis. The e-axis is going to be my x-axis, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another f vector, okay, which is going to be called something like my right direction, that is going to be equal to my f rotation matrix's function that requires a parameter of my yaw rotation, okay, dot the get unit axis, get unit axis, which requires a parameter of an e-axis, which is gonna be my y-axis, ending with a semicolon. Guys, that was a mouthful. Okay, man, you should definitely start lead code. It is crucial. I actually do wanna, maybe after my... Okay, approximately how hard or how long would you guys think? Like, is there like a certain amount of question that we can do in like lead code? Because I might have maybe a 50-day series or a 100-day series after my 2-3-day series where I do actually work with lead code. That's like a middle half fun series type stuff before I move on to my making chatbot type stuff. So, about how long would it take to complete lead code? That's it, because I haven't done any research whatsoever on it. Whatever. There we go. After my wall direction, I'm gonna go ahead and create a movement input. Now, for my movement input, I'm gonna go ahead and use the add movement inputs function, which requires, let's say, 2 parameters. The parameters I was talking about, a wall direction that I created and a scale value that I created. You guys can like ignore the B-force. I don't know what's that about. So, my wall direction in this case is going to be my forward vector. Okay, forward direction. Let me just copy this and then paste it here. There we go. Okay, and my scale value is going to be my movement vector. Okay, dot the x-axis, because I move in the actually it might be the y-axis, because I do like my forward is basically y unless my player is not facing in the correct pivot point. That's next I'm gonna go with another add movement input. Let's go with MENT input with a pair of parentheses, where I'm gonna go with another forward. Actually, this time I'm gonna go with my wall direction as my right direction. I'm gonna go with right direction. Okay, and my guys, I keep messing my spelling up. My fingers are frozen right now. Yeah, because it is actually kind of cold out here. Then I'm gonna go with something like movement vector dot the y-axis. Let's go with dot the y-axis, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. That's about it for my move function. Once I'm done with my move function, why did I add my move function for my RMB check? Let's change this thing to something like move. There. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go all the way down here to my look function. So, actually before my look function, I'm gonna create another function here. This is gonna be my RMB function, my right mouse button function, where I'm gonna go ahead and define the function that I created, define the white function that I created inside of my atibs header files. The function is called something like RMB underscore press. If my RMB press function has been initiated, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. What am I gonna go ahead and do? Let's think. I'm gonna go ahead and set my boolean variable of is RMB press to be equal to true. My RMB is being pressed right now. Then I'm gonna add a if statement. Now, adding the if statement here is completely optional. It's like I don't want my user to be seeing my mouse pointer when my right mouse button is being pressed. So when he turns, I do want my mouse pointer to like just bother him. So I want to like hide it that time. For doing that, I'm gonna go with something like a player controller, because mouse pointer and everything does come under my player controller. My player controller is going to be represented by PC as a local variable, which is going to be equal to, I'm gonna go with something like cast. Okay, then inside my cast, I'm gonna add my a player controller. Okay, with a pair of parentheses calls my controller. Okay, which requires a parameter of my controller. There we go. And then I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces. Now, I'm gonna point my PC towards a boolean check of show mouse cursor. Let's go with mouse cursor, which is gonna be set to false, ending with a semicolon. When my RMB, when my right mouse button is being pressed, and when my right mouse button is being pressed, my mouse cursor is gonna be hidden. Else, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, and let's go ahead and paste it here. This is gonna be another function for my right mouse button underscore released. There we go. Okay, when my mouse button is released, I'm gonna go ahead and convert my is RMB pressed to be false, because my right mouse button is no longer being pressed. And then I want to show my mouse cursor again. Okay, what class / standard are you, dude? Honestly, I am like a freshman in college. Okay, that's it. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and eat something. Honestly, I feel like the reason I can't like put so much effort in learning these things like real sooner is because I got college stuff to do and all that. That's good. Mm. Okay, this is basic of my R&B function. Now, once I'm done with those, I'm gonna add a comment here that says something like look function. Let's go with something like my look function. This is gonna be in charge of me rotating my player using my mouse. I'm gonna go with something like a white function from my Tibbs class that I declared inside of my header files. I'm going to define it inside of my C++ file. The function is called something like look that requires a constant parameter of a f input. So let's go with something like a f input action value. And guys, I feel like I'm good enough with this right now to start making tutorial videos. What you guys think? Maybe I might spend some more time learning this thing before I make videos. Because I won't make the mistake that I made for like 5 games and SDL where I did not make a lot of tutorials at all. I want to make plenty of tutorials with this. Which college? Don't answer if you don't want to. Honestly, yeah, actually I feel like I shouldn't be answering because that's going to be like giving my exact location out. Because I do like live really close to my college. Okay, what are you trying to build? Actually, I'm trying to build like a shrine type project where my player has like options when he enters inside the shrine. He has like 3 different clicks where I click one button, second button, third button. Depending on what button I click, something is going to happen in my shrine. But guys, the worst part is I'm really bad with using Blender, so I need to work on getting better meshes. Okay, so inside my look function, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm going to be needing a scale value, so I'm going to add a comment that says scale value. Because unlike my move function, where I use the add movement input here, that required my world direction and my scale value, for rotating my player around using my mouse, I'm going to be needing the add controller yaw input or add controller pitch input that just requires a scale value. So I'm just going to be needing this first section up here. To get my scale value, I'm going to go ahead and let's say create an F vector 2D and have it be represented by let's say something like a look vector. Okay, which is here going to be equal to my value. Let's go with something like my values is parameter dot the get function. Let's go with something like get. Actually get template, my bad guys. My get template is going to be requiring a parameter of my f vector 2D with a pair of parentheses that requires let's say something like no parameters. I ended with a semicolon. Okay, now once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement here to check if my controller is not equal to null PDR, and only if my controller is not equal to null, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces. In my pair of curly braces, I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment that says something like controller input, because mouse is technically considered a controller. I'm gonna use the add controller. Let's say yaw input function first. Basically what the add controller yaw input or yaw input in general does is it gives me access to rotate in the x-axis. Pitch input in the other hand is going to give me access to rotate in the y-axis. And there's like one more, I think it's called roll input, that gives me access to rotate in the z-axis, if that makes any sense. So this is going to be value now. I end this with a semicolon. By value, I meant look vector dot the x-axis. There. And then next I'm going to go with something like another add controller. Yaw input. Actually pitch input this time. Pitch input. And guys, there's a tiny logic check here. Dot the y-axis. Ending with a semicolon. The basic logic check is the only time I want to turn around is when my right mouse button is being pressed. So before I actually turn or rotate myself or do any of that general stuff, I'm going to add a if statement to check if my boolean variable of is RMB pressed is set to true. If it is set to true, that's when I want to go ahead and rotate myself. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this part, delete it from here, go up here, and paste it here. And now that's pretty much it. This is basically it for my rotating as well. Once I'm done with all that, I'm going to move on to my final step of binding my stuff. What I did till now, I want to bind that to my Unreal Engine. Although before I bind it, I gotta do some kind of changes in my Unreal Engine as well. For example, in my contents drawer, I'm gonna go ahead and right click, create a new folder. I'm gonna name it something like input. I'm gonna double click that. In my inputs folder, I'm gonna go ahead and find something like a input action. Let's go with something like input. Let's go with mapping context first. I'm gonna name that something like IMC underscore default default. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and right click and create another action input. This is going to be called something like I_move for my move action. Then I'm going to go ahead and create another input action. Let's go with something like another action input action called something like IA, which stands for input action underscore look for my look action. Then I'm going to go ahead and right click again. I'm going to go with something like action. Okay, this time this input action. Oh guys, I think I spelled it wrong. Let's go with a. Hold on, there we go. Guys, there's no way my keyboard's battery just ran out. Guys, I guess I'm running low on batteries now. I gotta go ahead and get some batteries. Okay, I might go ahead and replace this battery with something like, I don't know, maybe this. Guys, I seriously need some batteries now. Okay, let's go ahead and plug that in. There. Hold up, give me a sec, guys. Let's go ahead and just remove that. Okay, the one reason the battery could be going fast is, how do you put this in? Did I place the battery correct? Okay, give me a sec, guys. Wait, let me just check if oh, there we go, it works. Okay, it was my battery all along, guys. Hold up, let's go ahead and remove all this thing. Guys, this is the one thing that I don't like. Like, I gotta change batteries. I wish I had like wired keyboards and mouses. Okay, let's go ahead and connect it. There we go, perfect. Now, I'm gonna go up here and let's go ahead and find something like input action. This is going to be input action. I'm gonna go ahead and call this something like IA_RB. This is going to be my RB action. Yo, my friend, how are you? Honestly, I'm doing good, Artificial. How are you doing? I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. These are mostly everything I need. I'm gonna double click my IA move. Then I'm gonna go ahead and change this to be something like A2D vector. Okay, and then I'm gonna go all the way up here. Change my IA look to be something like a two-dimensional vector as well. Okay, and now that's, I think, almost about it. I'm going to go with something like my IMC default, where I'm going to go ahead and add a mapping. I'm going to click plus for mappings, and then let's go ahead and set this to be something like IA_move. I want to move using 4 key checks, so I'm going to go ahead and add it 4. First is going to be W, second is going to be S, third is going to be A, fourth is going to be D. My W is going to be having a modifier of, let's say, something like Swiss input axis value, which basically gives me which basically allows me to move in the y-axis. Then I'm going to go ahead and close that. For my S, in the other hand, I will be needing to add a modifier as well of my Swiss input axis value. But now, unless I don't add another modifier called something like negate, I'm only going to be moving in the y-axis exactly the same direction as my W. Negate stands for like negative. I'm going to move in the opposite direction of where the Swiss input axis value originally says me to move. Fine, man. I was also working on my Unity game. That actually sounds kind of cool. How's it go? Okay, the next up for my A, I'm going to go ahead and let's say require a parameter or a modifier. Did I just add a trigger? A modifier of, let's say, negate. And that's about it. Okay, once I'm done with all that, I'm going to go back to my, let's say, my Visual Studio. Before that, I forgot one more important thing. I'm going to go ahead and add another. Oops, let's delete this. I'm going to add another mapping. This is going to be for my IA_look. I want to look based on where my mouse moves in the y-axis. And then I want to look up and down based on where my mouse moves in the x-axis. Okay, perfect. And then my x-axis is going to be having a modifier of, let's see, actually not x-axis. What up, guys? Why do I have 2 x-axes? I'm going to go ahead and click plus. This is going to be my mouse is going to move based on where I move in the y-axis. My y-axis is going to be having a modifier of Swiss input axis value. Technically, what the Swiss input axis value does is it gives me access to move in the y-axis. Without this, I will be turning only in the x-axis. I fell for this mistake for like the longest time, guys. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go with a plus again. Now, in my plus, this is going to be IA_RMB. That is going to be my right mouse button. And that's about it. So far, so good. That actually sounds kind of cool. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and eat something. Guys, I've never been this out of breath, actually, because I'm trying to speedrun this part. Okay, now I'm gonna go with something like an if statement. I'm gonna check if my U enhanced input component, which is going to be represented by pointer, ENHA. It's gonna be ENHA and CED. So if my U enhanced input component, which is going to be represented by pointer, called something like EIC, is equal to, let's say, something like cast checked. Okay, with a pair of ankle braces, that is going to be something like my U enhanced. Let's go with something like ENHA and CED enhanced input component. Okay, perfect. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. This is gonna be my, let's say, player input component. Let's go with player input component. Okay, that's about it. Then I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces. Now, this is where the actual binding begins. I'm firstly gonna go ahead and bind my move action. Let's go with something like bind. Move action. Let's go with something like move. There we go. Okay, perfect. For my bind move action, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say, okay, bind move action. I'm gonna go with my enhanced input component EIC pointed towards the bind actions function, which requires, let's say, parameter of my action name, which in this case it is going to be my move actions pointer. And in case you guys don't know where did I get the move action from, it is technically the stuff that I created up here. I had a typo in my category. Guys, this doesn't look that bad, but then it's like, if there's a single typo, then my entire code crashes. That's kind of awful. Move action, then I'm going to go all the way down here. The second parameter is going to be a trigger type. So I'm going to go with something like a trigger event. My trigger type is going to be triggered. So if my move action has been triggered on this object, then I want to do what this function basically is the memory address of my ATIBs is. Let's go with something like the move function. Okay, if in my move action, if if this is triggered in my move action, then I go ahead and do this, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another comment that says something like bind look action. I'm going to go with something like bind look action. Okay, for my bind look action, hold up guys, let's go with something like action. I'm going to point my enhanced input component towards my bind action. Okay, with a pair of parentheses that has a parameter of a look action, a parameter of trigger event, with a scope resolution operator. Let's go with EVENT. There we go. Where I'm going to go with something like triggered. If this has been triggered on this object, I want to do what this function tells me to do, what the look function tells me to do. Guys, it's really hard to type fast with my fingers frozen. Then let's end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and bind my RMB action as well, which is basically my mouse action. Let's go with something like RMB action. Okay, I'm going to go with enhanced input component, which points towards my bind action with a pair of parentheses, where I require parameter of my RMB action, and then a trigger event. I'm going to go ahead and require a trigger event. Now, here's something new. Let's go with a trigger event. And guys, you guys might think, what's a new thing? For my RMB action, it's set to firstly a digital boolean in my Unreal Engine up here. What's good, bro? Hiding Sprongle. I appreciate you joining the stream. So my let's go all the way down here to my RMB action. It's set to digital boolean, so it's either going to be set to true, either going to be set to false. So I'm going to go ahead and set my RMB action to be true. If I click my RMB, so if my trigger has started, that's when it's going to be set to true. I'm going to go with something like this. If it is set to true on this object, I'm going to give it access to my RMB from my ATIB. I'm going to give it access to my RMB underscore pressed function with a pair of parentheses, ending with a semicolon. And now here's the second catch. Let me go ahead and just remove the pair of parentheses, ending it with a semicolon. Here's the second catch. It's not over yet. I have two states. First is on state, second is off state. For my off state, I'm going to go with my bind action just like usual. I'm going to go with RMB action just like usual as well. I'm going to be looking for a trigger event just like always as well. Guys, my fingers are frozen. There we go. Which is going to be, let's say, something like completed. Okay, now my action is going to be completed where I'm going to move on my digital boolean from true to false. So my right mouse button action is no longer being clicked on this object. I'm going to go ahead and invoke my this function from my atib. I want to invoke my rmb underscore release function ending with a semicolon. And that's like right about it. Guys, is there like a time for a breather or so? Okay, this is going to be 8 tip. There we go. Okay, now let's just hit control. Let's just save the code. I'm positive I've done everything. Move action, look action, RMB action. Let's open my Unreal Engine. I'm gonna go ahead and live compile. Let's live compile everything. Okay, whoops guys, got the wrong chat up here. I'm gonna go ahead and get that here. Let's go ahead and get this here. This is where I usually check my chats up. There we go. Okay, it's successfully patched. Perfect. I'm gonna go to my content, my C++ classes. I'm gonna double click my tib, get him here. Now you guys can like see he has a camera with him, he has a spring arm with him as well, and that's my root component, which is my capsule component. In case you guys couldn't see my spring arm, if I go all the way down here, my camera room and my follow camera, which I did create inside of my constructor. So these are basically my, let me go with my camera boom. That red stuff is my camera boom, which is basically my selfie stick, and this is my actual camera component. So that was like pretty much it. When we create default sub objects, they are like actually spawned inside of our Unreal Engine. Now, what I'm gonna go ahead and do next is add a mesh for my capsuleer, because even though I have my capsuleer, if I just run the code, although I'll be able to move, I won't be seeing a mesh or anything. To do that, I'm gonna go with my tib, my actor. I'm gonna click plus. Let's go with something like a static mesh. Okay, now my static mesh is gonna be called something like static mesh, but I'm gonna set it to my common NPC. CO. Okay, my bad guys, I cannot load in my common NPC because I haven't loaded my folders yet or my Blender meshes yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Give me a sec. Let's go all the way there. Let's highlight all those and drag them here. I'm gonna go ahead and import. I'm gonna go ahead and import my second folder as well. Yes, I want to apply on all. And let's go ahead and load my meshes in. There we go. Okay, now once all my meshes have been loaded in, I can go ahead and get access to my static mesh here. If I go ahead and type something like common, I'll be able to see my common NPC. This is the NPC that I created in Blender, guys. My Blender skills are honestly awful. Okay, that said, I'm gonna, and you guys do see this tiny pivot point here. Okay, maybe you guys do not see it just yet. I'm gonna go with something like E. There, you guys see the tiny blue color line? That's considered my pivot point. I should be facing in that direction. So nothing messy with my rotation, if that makes any sense. This is where I should really be facing. There, let's face 90 degrees. And then I'm going to hit W on my keyboard, move myself a bit to the back and a bit down. There, let's go a bit here. Okay, the bake will return in Avengers Doomsday. Guys, return in Avengers Doomsday is kind of crazy. That's it. Hiding Visual, I appreciate you joining the stream. It's been a while since I've seen you. Like, all the OGs, I feel like they've just, all of a sudden kind of vanished. I like rarely see them anymore. I mean, I did see like Jenny Nano, I think an hour ago, he did like hop on by the stream to ask why am I wearing glasses and all that stuff. But then he disappeared in the Shadow Realm again, guys. Let's go all the way here to... Okay, perfect. I mean, I think that's kind of good. I should just generally be inside my component here. And now comes the second important part. I'm gonna go to my div and types and search for something like input in my details panel. Now, I would not have all these inputs here. What up, guys? There we go. I would not have all these bunch of inputs that I gotta fill. For example, move action is going to be my IA move, look action is going to be my IA look, RMB action is going to be my IA underscore RMB, and default mapping is going to be my IMC defaults. I wouldn't have all these options unless I did not create these bunch of view properties inside of my header files, if that made any sense, guys. And now once that's it, that's actually pretty much it. Guys, I want to get better, what's it called? Better meshes. These are like awful. I gotta get better at working with Blender. I'm gonna go with a live compile. Okay, I just compiled and run the code now, guys. I think I've done that in record time. Oh my gosh, guys, there is no way I went to the crash without saving my stuff. I forgot to set my player possessed. Okay, let's go with something like send and restart. I hope my content is saved. I forgot to do an important stuff. I realized the second I clicked my run button. Okay, let's see. So, okay, I hope my code is gonna. I hope that my content is saved. Okay, guys, I'm glad there's this restore package. I'm gonna go ahead and restore all. Let's go ahead. Restore selected. There we go. Okay, that was kind of scary. Because, guys, I've lost my stuff so many times. I've lost my progress so many times because of not saving. I keep forgetting to save. Go to setup. Get that there. Let's go to content. Get that there. Go to. Oh my gosh, I lost my map. No. Guys, I should have saved my stuff. I mean, it's not that hard to like replicate what I did because that was basically nothing. I have my code and everything saved. I don't have my C++ classes. In my content, I've got nothing. I mean, it's fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and run my code through here. It wasn't all that much though. I'm glad that, guys, I gotta put an alarm or like remind me to always save my stuff. It says 0 succeeded, 1 failed. Okay, so it's targets header file. So where did the error occur? So it's program make file target line 44 by 5. So project G engine batch development. Okay, so it's a building project. My project failed. Why did it fail? Where did it fail again? Let's see. So it says unable to build. I mean, I actually call this kind of. I'm blaming my my editor here because I feel I did everything correct. Let's build my solution again. Okay, because whenever this happens, it's most likely my editor because I did not make any mistakes because my code compiled successfully. There we go. It even says result successful up there. Okay, it's just my Unreal Engine kind of tweaking right now. Okay, it's almost done building. There we go. 52 succeeded, 0 failed. There is nothing wrong here. Let's run my code again. See, result succeeded. Guys, this is what I'm saying. Like, sometimes your Unreal Engine or like your Visual Studio just does this. I don't know why. Hey guys. Don't like ask me why am I eating fruits with a spoon. I don't want to like mess my hands up and I don't have a fork right now. There we go. Have my C++ classes as well now. I'm not going to do the mistake that I did last time. First, you're going to create a basic class. Let's create it. I'm going to go to content. So let's go to something like content. Go ahead and load in all my stuff again. There we go. Let's import. Apply to all. Hit something like yes. Okay, perfect. And then let's go ahead and just get my chat up here real quick. Okay, perfect. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and firstly save everything. Let's save everything. Okay, let's go ahead and just clear all that stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and hit X. Everything has been saved now. Next thing that I'm going to do is go all the way up here. I'm going to click that. I'm going to go with something like R, decrease the size. And then I'm going to go with something like my content. Let's go with my classes. Double click. Get my this thing here. I'm going to go ahead and get that up. Maybe gonna go all the way down here and just turn so I can like get a better look at this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and extend this from here. Gonna type something like static mesh. I'm gonna add a static mesh. This shouldn't really take that long. This was a pretty easy part. I got lucky this time, guys. Let's go with something like common. Guys, always make sure to save you guys' stuff once you're done with it. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way up here. Maybe decrease the size of this real quick. Okay, now I'm gonna hit something like E to rotate myself so I can face the pivot point. So I'm going to go with negative 90 degrees. There. And then I'm going to hit something like W to get myself inside the capsule. Going to go lower. Going to go forward. Going to go a bit up. There we go. What's the secret of your energy? I feel like repetition, guys. That's like, because if you guys watch my first ever stream, it's like I used to stream for a bit, then I used to lose energy and all that stuff. So, I mean, I feel like yeah, I feel like repetition is like the more you guys do something and you don't like to, the more you guys grow your like you expand your anterior mid singular cortex. That stands for like the willpower in your brains. So it gets more durable, if that makes any sense, guys. I feel like I kind of phrased that wrong. Next, I'm gonna go with something like follow camera, give myself a bit up, go a bit back, and then I'm gonna go with something like R to rotate myself. Actually, E to rotate. Let's go a bit lower. There we go. Okay, I would go ahead and say like that's pretty much it, to be honest. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna make sure that I saved everything. There we go. I'm gonna save my map. Let's go ahead and save it as well. And now that everything has been saved, I'm gonna go ahead and click my tip again. I'm gonna go with something like input. Let's go with something like input and just fill in my inputs real quick. There we go. Let's go with something like input. This is going to be IA underscore move. This is going to be IA underscore look. That is going to be IA underscore RB. And lastly, this is going to be default mapping. And then I'm going to go with something like possess. I'm going to go ahead and type something like possess. There we go. Now I'm going to set my auto possess player from disabled to be something like player 0. Then I'm going to go ahead and extend this a bit back. Now I'm gonna go ahead and live compile my code again to like just make sure everything has been compiled and like nothing is wrong. Okay, let's go ahead and compile it real quick. It says no changes, results succeeded. So I'm gonna run my code. Now this is basically what I was doing. It's like I can go ahead, I have my mouse here. If I click my right mouse button, my what's this called? My cursor has been hidden and I can go ahead and look left and right. I can go ahead and look up and I can go ahead and look down. I gotta fix that part real quick. Alright guys, I'm gonna change this to negative. Now let's control S, because when I hit like when I move my mouse upwards, I look downwards, if that made any sense. Switching that to be negative would have fixed it. Okay, now let's go ahead and live compile real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and live compile. Okay, that wouldn't take that long to compile, it's a tiny change. Okay, linking patch, then I'm gonna go ahead and run the code. Now when I look down, I look downwards. When I move my mouse up, I move up. I can move to the left, towards the right. If I hit W, I go towards the left. If I hit S, I go towards the right. If I hit A, I go backwards. If I hit D, I go forward. So I gotta fix that as well. All I'm gonna do to fix that is change this y-axis to be x-axis and this x-axis to be y-axis. Then I'm gonna control S to save the code. Get my Unreal Engine again. I'm gonna go ahead and live compile. And then let's go ahead and compile this. Okay, let's see. It says results succeeded. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Let's run my code again. Now this should be perfect. Forward, backwards, left, right. And then I can turn around and all that stuff. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and just exit the code now. Now that I'm done with my enhanced input and player logic, I'm gonna be working on my shrines. So for my shrine, I'm kind of confused. Like, how would I make the template? Let me maybe go ahead and add a flowchart or a pseudocode for this. The reason I use those two terms is because I learned those in my programming class, and I feel they sounded kind of cool. Basically, what pseudocode means is just fake code, and flowchart is basically visual code that has 3 different kinds of types. One is going to be oval for like start and end of our terminal. One is going to be a parallelogram for our regular code. For our regular coding and all that stuff. And lastly, it's going to be a rectangle for our math and all that stuff. That said, okay, so how would I want to make my shrine? I'm going to be creating an actor for my shrine, the first thing. The second thing could be I might need buttons. Now, I could either have 3 separate input actions for those buttons, or I could just have, let's think. I could have 3 separate actors. I think 3 separate actors would make would be a bad idea. Unless I want to click those buttons with my mouse. Maybe I go ahead and use E to actually click. So I could go with something like E to claim all. That's what Roblox actually uses. That said, let me go ahead and eat some oats real quick. Oops, let's open my Unreal Engine. I don't know why I opened my Discord server. Oh guys, since I did open my Discord server, a quick little shameless plug, make sure to join the Discord server through the link in the description. This is where I actually usually tell you guys when I go live and all that stuff. And there are like a bunch of chats here. But there's a question many of you guys do kind of get confused with. You guys cannot get access to all these chats unless y'all don't go like to the channels and roles and like get almost all these roles. Like if you guys have the coding role, then you guys are going to be having access to all the coding chats. If you guys pick a gaming role, you're going to get access to all the gaming chats. If you guys pick universal role, you guys are going to get access to the general chat, bots for the bots command, and anime for the anime chats. And that's about it. You guys can get like access to the roles if you guys go to something like the self roles and like pick. There are a bunch of roles here. Or when you guys actually join the server, there's going to be like a onboard. You guys can select it from there as well. Okay, I just did that to like waste some time because I was trying to think how would I add my shrine. Okay, I think I got it. So basically what I want to do to add my shrine, I'm going to click tools. I'm going to go with new C++ class. Let's add an actor class. In my actor class, I'm going to go ahead and name this something like shrine base. Let's go with something like shrine. Okay, I might just go with shrine. Let's go with SHRINE. I'm going to go ahead and create a class. Now here's the thing. What do I actually need for my shrine? Do I have something? Do I have any meshes that's going to be appropriate for my shrine? I don't really know. Let me just go ahead and reload all real quick. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and open my Unreal Engine real quick. Is there something? So in my Blender's FBX file, I just have these basic FBXs. I have a few health bars. In my QLB file, I have animated meshes. Here's where I actually have my dice, where I animated my dice in Blender too. Okay, do I want to use my dice? I could go ahead and try my die. I mean, instead, I think I'll hold on to it for the time being. I'm going to go to my background meshes. In my background, I have one for my floor, so my floor looks somewhat like that. That could be a good shrine base. And then I have, let's go with something like grass. Let me close my floor. Hold up, guys, I'm just like kind of trying to check this stuff up. I'm going to go with static mesh. Okay, I realized if I really like drag my grass here, does it look like a grass? Okay, honestly, even though it's just like texture stuck up to this, I think it looks kind of good. I might want to run my code real quick. I want to see how this... Alright guys, would you guys rather prefer me having this kind of grass? Because I really don't know how to add like actual grass. I tried using the hair trick in like Blender to like add multiple grasses here, but then apparently I couldn't like do that for some reason. Okay, because I think there were like so many vertices that it couldn't load in here. I'm going to go ahead and exit this. I want to see what makes a good shrine. So what else do I have? If I were to close my grass, I have health bars. I'm positive I wouldn't need my health bars. None of the health bars would be necessary. I have meal. I have a few meals. Like I have a NPC's meal. I'm going to go to my static mesh. This is like a basic meat. Do I want to go ahead and like click my meat to increase my HP or something like that? For my NPC, I have Dragon NPC, which is basically, let's go with static mesh, a kind of trash looking dragon, if that makes any sense. Okay, I didn't like put much effort in him whatsoever because I was like new to Blender. Okay, I think he looks bad from here. He looks good from here. There we go. So that's my dragon. Maybe instead, what if I go with something like my Lisa or DJ Kwang's mesh? These are kind of incomplete ones. That's my Lisa, who looks like an Among Us character, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, I feel like this might look good for NPCs. This is like somewhat an Among Us character, honestly. Okay, I might go with something like... Okay, this is like a half mesh. Maybe I could go ahead and use my half mesh if one of my characters like died or something, guys. That's a massive... Okay, this is like a huge... Guys, am I in like Attack on Titan right now? That's like a 30-meter Titan. That's like maybe an 8-meter. That's like, I don't know, a 5-meter Titan. Okay, that's it. I mean, I just gotta go ahead and apply my meter modeling to like complete this mesh. So I think I could go ahead and utilize them to be like some kind of guards for my shrine. For the time being, I will be deleting them. I'm gonna add them if I need them. Let's go ahead and delete that. Let's go ahead and delete that. What else would I need? Let me think. So is there any other meshes that I have? I have weapons. So let's go ahead and check my weapons real quick. Let's go ahead and remove that. Let's go ahead and just close that up. Let's close my NPCs section. Hold on, guys, let me just go ahead and close this there. Okay, let's go ahead and close all this. There we go. Now for my weapons, I have a nature shield. I forgot all about this. Okay, this is a flame. That is a cube. I have so many static meshes for this. Okay, so this is my nature shield that I created in Blender, but I couldn't like complete this mesh because I ran out of time last Tuesday. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go to my content and try to load this. This is half. What is this? Why aren't they stuck? I'm positive I joined them all together. Weren't these the curves? What up, guys? Unintentionally, I think I've made something really, really good looking. This could be like the thing that decorates my shrine. I mean, I am partially out of options. What is this? Okay, I mean, I'll just use this probably for my buttons. I might use the shield and this for my buttons. I could go ahead and delete that. Okay, and then delete that as well, and that as well for the time being. So let me work on my actor class first, and then later on I'm going to work on the rest of the logic. That said, let's go ahead and eat something real quick. And guys, remind me this Tuesday, I'm going to be working on like my nature shield to complete it. Okay, speaking of which, I'm going to go with my shrines as header files. In my header files, I'm going to go ahead and, let's say, declare a class called something like new box component. I'm going to go with box component .h, which is basically my box components and header files. And then under my protected data members, let's say, okay, not h, my bad guys, just my box component. There we go. Then my protected data members, I'm let's say gonna go ahead and add a comment that says something like my box component. I'm gonna go with something like collision box. I'm gonna go with something like collision box because technically my let's say my object is going to be surrounded by a box unless I use pixel perfect collision, which I think that is too advanced for me right now. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create a U property. Okay, and guys, is it my mouse that's kind of lagging? I mean, not my mouse, my keyboard. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and create a U property, which here requires, let's say, a few parameters. Property. Okay. My U property is going to be requiring a parameter of, let's say, something like, I don't know, maybe edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit my collision box anywhere because I will be editing it in my compiler. That said, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and require a parameter of my blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read my collision box, not really edit it. And then I'm going to go ahead and organize it in a category called something like maybe collision box. There we go. Actually, collision is category. Might not go with box. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and type something like collision. Why is it that I see a bunch of red underlines here? Okay, let's go with something like collision box. What up, guys? Okay, let's see. So I have a U property. Did I spell something wrong? It says edit type. So it says edit type U property. Is my U property spelled wrong? I'm positive this is how we actually spell it. So I have a class called UBox components. I have a collision box here. Everything is correct, honestly. Where did I mess up? So edit type U property, and then it says identifier edit anywhere is undefined. Maybe I try typing it again. UPROPERTY. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's spelled correct, right? Okay, and then I have that. This is my shield as actor. Could it be that it's just my editor that's messing up right now? Generate body, it says identifier generate body undefined. It's correct, guys. I'm just blaming my editor. It's not gonna fix itself in a bit. That said, once I'm done with U property, I'm gonna go with something like a UBox component here. Let's go with UBox component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like collision box. So I'm going to go with something like collision box, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, is there something else that I need beside my, let's say beside my box components? Maybe I want my shrine to have a health bar or something. Instead of health bar, I want to add a button check, so I won't be needing health bar. Instead, I want to add like a function called something like button clicked. So should I add a comment for a button click? I wouldn't need shields. I wouldn't need anything like that. Receive hit. It takes damage. So I might need let's say a U property for a button. My button, I can edit it anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only, and I want the category to be under my NPC attributes. So I could go with something like attributes, or here's the thing. Do I want to create a button? Why would I create a button if I can just go ahead and click E to activate my shrine? My E must be in my shrine, not in my NPC. E to activate shrine, and if I'm close to my shrine and I click E. So only if I'm close to my shrine and I click E, I want to go ahead and do something. Okay, that works. Let's go with something like activate. Maybe I'll go with function. Let's go with something like function. There we go. Okay, now for my function, let me just go ahead and close that real quick. There we go. How doing for Nida? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. For my function, and why do I still see a red underline? A positive is not my editor. I mean, a positive, it's not me that it's something wrong. It's definitely like my editor or something. Okay, let's open my Visual Studio here real quick. Okay, so for my function, I'm let's say gonna go ahead and create a white function called something like activate shrine. Activate shrine function that requires a parameter of let's say something like E. So I'm gonna go with something like E. And hold up, guys, let me just go ahead and mute myself. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, there we go. Thought there was something wrong there. That said, I'm gonna go with something like a white function called activate shrine. Now, in the activate shrine function, is there something that I need? Let's see. So maybe I might actually let's say might need a parameter called something like E. I want to check if my shrine has been activated. So I'm gonna go with something like maybe I could go with something like a floating point damage because that actually makes sense. I want to deal some damage to my shrine in order for it to activate. Then I'm going to go with the Pro of Career Bracelet. Hold up, guys, let me just go ahead and mute myself again. Already mic testing. Guys, just ignore the background noises. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go with something like Activate Shrine function that requires a floating point damage. But why is it that it still says I have an error type? If I were to go to my C++, it doesn't say anything is wrong. I'm positive it's my editor. I could go ahead and Control S to save the code. Fixed everything. Okay, and maybe let's go with something like okay, what is something? I might just go with this floating point. I'm just going to declare my function. I'm going to define it later in my C++. Now, inside my activate shrine, I mean after that, will I need anything else? Do I want to add states, whether or not it has been or has not been activated? For now, I might not do that. Okay, I'm going to Control S to save the code. Let's go to my C++ now. Speaking of which, honestly, I feel like I want to kind of continue this next stream because this stream, I think I'm kind of exhausted right now. And I do gotta I don't want to completely exhaust myself because I do have some college stuff to do as well. So I might actually call it a day, and I will be working a bit on this off stream only if I had time. And see if I can add different kinds of functions because I've never worked with shrine logic. Although it's not really that hard, but I want to go ahead and just see in case I have some time on my streams. If I didn't, then I'm going to do it on stream next stream. Okay, that's it. Let me actually go ahead and get Gemini up here real quick. But before I get Gemini, the most important thing, guys, I gotta go ahead and let's say live compile. I'm gonna go ahead. My bad. By compile, I meant save. Always make sure to save your code, guys. Let's go ahead and save all. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and hit something like save. And then, do you want to replace it? Sure, I'll replace it. And then I'm going to hit Control S to save the code again. This is going to be new map. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and exit that. C++, there we go. Okay, let's get Gemini up here. Let me see something say, I did not complete my shrine logic or my shrine program till now, although it has been about 2 hours, so I am kind of exhausted. I am saving some of my strength for my colleagues' stuff. That said, I might continue this. Let's go with something like this next stream. That said, before I do end the stream, is there anything short that you want to say to the viewers? Guys, I made sure to go with something short because I can't read a lot. That's it. Exhausted. 2 hours, then you're folding a weak compiler error. Honestly, guys, I'm not really exhausted. I just want to say some of my brain fatigue for my college stuff right now. That's listen to me. The difference between a hobbyist and a master is what happens in the final inch. You stop now, the logic will evaporate from your brain before you even reach your college classroom. The last 3 or 4 reps is what makes the muscles grow. This area of pain divides the champions from someone else who is not a champion, said by Arnold uh, Skewers Neger. Is that I pronounce it, guys? I feel like I'm kind of awful in name pronunciation. That's it, but I see the cognitive load is heavy. The viewers have seen you struggle, and they have seen you succeed. Do not let me see you quit whimper, with a whimper call before you cut the feed. Sensei's final decree to the viewers, listen up. You witnessed the grind. Okay, guys, I do not want to read all this. I might just read the quote. Our greatest glory is not never failing, but in rising every time we fall. Second thickest. Okay, homework, guys. I feel like I don't want to read the homework in anything right now. Okay, that said, I'm new here. What are you teaching? Honestly, I was working on like a shrine logic in Unreal Engine where I was basically in general working with target logic. When I click a certain button, I want something to happen. Before this project, I had another project that I was like just done with, I think like an hour ago, where I worked on actually dealing attack to my NPC, and when his HP reaches 0, he just like disappears from a window. But in the new project, I was kind of I wasn't like completely exhausted. I just saved some of my strength from my college stuff, where I just managed to make my player move and all that stuff. The basic things, moving around, right clicking and disappearing my my cursor and all that stuff. But I will be continuing my shrine logic next stream. And about the teaching part, I do want to make a few tutorial videos. Maybe when I see like I've got some of my college work in check, I might make a few tutorial videos for this. That said, I'm gonna go to my main camera real quick. Let me go all the way up there. There we go. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. If you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like, helps my algorithm, share, make you smile, and subscribe, click and turn it up. That's it guys. I didn't want to stream for longer, but I'm actually I'm not like really exhausted, but then I want to save some of my brain strength, like I said like 15 or 16 times before this. Actually, I think I said like 3 or 4 times, because I do need to like spend a lot of time now working on my college, or reading my readers, and like performing a few different kinds of projects and other things. That said, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I did say that, guys. And I did start multi-streaming on Twitch to YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on Instagram and TikTok as well if I didn't meet the followers requirements. So if you guys really enjoy my content and follow me there, make sure to follow me there. The link will be in the description. And also join my Discord server. That's where I usually talk to you guys, chat with you guys, have general conversation. The link will be in the description. And you guys can get access to my Discord server by typing !Discord in chat. And you guys can get access to any of my socials, Discord, or anything in general that I do have, any of my social media, through my bio. That's it. I'll catch you guys next live stream or video. Peace.